So I've got a challenge coming up at the end of the month, and I'm already starting to think about everything that needs to go along with it. Training, the daily actions, the promotional content, the emails, the resources. There's a lot that goes into a challenge. And my natural instinct is to start to create from scratch, as if I'm completely new to this. I have ran so many challenges by this point already, so I really shouldn't be starting from zero. And the thought just ran across my mind, why is it as an expert we do this all the time? I have delivered masterclasses, LinkedIn content, I've spoken at events, I've ran challenges, as I've said, I've created frameworks, prompts, digital products, ebooks, presentations, the list goes on. But yet and still, every time I have something new to deliver, I start from scratch, ignoring the fact that there's already so much intellectual property just sitting inside my business, gathering that digital dust in my Google Drive. I don't know if you have digital dust. Let me know if I'm the only one who forgets everything that's gone before and goes into overdrive with creating new resources, new content. So the challenge that I'm running is called LINGO, and it's about helping experts to strategically grow their networks on LinkedIn for clients, for opportunities, for growth, right? But as I've said, I was starting to think about it and it just hit me. I don't need to start afresh. I don't need to start with a blank Canva template and start to build it out. What I actually need to do is to leverage the resources that I already have, to leverage whether it's a post, a framework, some course or resource that already exists inside of my school community. Really what I need to do is to curate all of that intellectual property because it already exists. So why break my head starting again? It doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only expert, creator, thought leader that does the same thing. You get invited to give a presentation or a talk, and rather than going into your vault and looking at what you already have, you start to create something entirely new. So I think for me, it's a case of looking at all of the scattered ideas across the Google Drives, across my Canva account, in my Fathom. So I use an AI note taker called Fathom. So looking at the replays in that, what courses have I delivered that live in there? What frameworks have I shared when answering client questions? I need to look at even my podcast, right? I have probably around 12 or so episodes, 12, maybe 13 episodes. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about how to grow your network on LinkedIn in one of those episodes. Going back through old Zoom recordings, looking at notebooks, I'm sure there's the information that already exists. It just needs to be curated and gone through and extract the salient points that could then be applied to a challenge. So I think this time around, I'm going to approach it differently. So rather than starting from a blank page, I'm going to think about the final result, the promise, the transformation that I'm offering with LINGO, right? What is it that I want someone to be able to do, to know, to get on with at the end of the challenge? And then what I'm going to do is reverse engineer it, work backwards through the content that I've already created, curated, set aside and organized, looking through it to find out, have I already taught this? Have I explained this in a masterclass? Is there a framework that can be shared in the challenge? Did somebody ask me a question on a course or in a Q&A call, and I gave a really great answer that I've probably forgotten about? So only once I do this audit will I know what the gap is, and then I can actually create from that gap as opposed to creating 100%. It may mean that I only need to create 20%. So that to me is about leverage. That's how I start to move from spinning my wheels and doing the most to that position of having and operating a really leveraged business that gives me the freedom. So I'm not saying don't create anything new, not at all. What I'm saying is that starting afresh each time should not automatically be your go-to. That shouldn't automatically be the first step that you take. And this way of thinking really leans into this concept of receipts and evidence and proof. I send out a weekly newsletter, the Sunday Receipts, and it is literally about all of the things that we've done, the body of work we're building, the results that we've got, the case studies that we have, that sometimes we need to remind ourselves about. And I, in this case, realized I need to remind myself about, right? Going back into that receipt drawer to dig out those receipts and remind yourself, I fought a lion, a bear, and a tiger. I can now do this. So it definitely has given me an opportunity to think, especially in this process of Project Freedom 46. Essentially, I'm aiming to speed it up to slow down. And also, it opens up the conversation to discuss sustainability, not like in the environmental sense, but in terms of the content that we create, right? It's not about creating a wonderful framework, creating amazing infographics, content on LinkedIn, courses, email sequences, and then they just fizzle out and die. If we're building that sustainability into our business in regards to content, really we should be thinking of it as more than content, right? These principles, these frameworks, these resources are actual assets. They are, in the digital world, what you would think of as maybe, I don't know, property or machinery in a business. What we create are the things that help us to generate revenue, much the same as a factory, a physical factory would have its machinery. We have our content, our digital assets. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I hope you're tracking with me as I'm kind of just thinking and talking in regards to how I'm going to approach this, how I'm starting to think about things. And I would invite you to have the same conversation with yourself. What are you doing with what you've already created? Are you leveraging that? Are you making use? Are you reusing? Are you curating that content? And what I have done previously, this has just come to mind, I have sold bundles of digital products. So I'll bundle together products that work together, that give a more rounded transformation, help somebody to get a variety, I guess, in their results as opposed to just one specific area. So what do you have that you could bundle together? You could curate and make that an offer and sell that. Essentially, once you've published something, that doesn't suddenly mean that it's now the end of its useful life and it just needs to be chucked in the bin and forgotten about, and then you wake up tomorrow and start from zero. Let's not do that anymore. Really, if we think about it, content is the format, but your intellectual property is what actually undergirds it. It's what sits underneath it and gives it its value. So repurpose that content, reuse that content, put it on other platforms, turn your emails into courses, turn your courses into podcasts. We really do have to find a way to get as much juice out of each and every squeeze, because you've already done the thinking, you've already invested the time, you've already created the product, edited the product, done the work. So let's not let that be for nothing. Let these resources, these assets work harder for us. So if you're a coach or a consultant or an expert in some area, I would encourage you to have this conversation with yourself, right? Take a moment and think about what you already have, what you should be leveraging, what you're not leveraging, before you go ahead and create a new program or a new framework, a new presentation. Think about what you already have, what already exists. Ask yourself, what is it that I keep teaching? What keeps coming up? What frameworks would be wise to develop further? What have I created once and then basically allowed to disappear? Quite possibly, we both might be sitting on more assets than we actually realize. So that's my thinking today. I haven't done the audit yet, but that will be my task over the next few days. I don't know if I'm going to discover that 80% for Lingo. I don't know if it already exists or if I'm wildly overestimating how organized I've been, in that I can lay my hands on them easily. I'm pretty sure sometime kind of digging through drives and stuff will surface what I need. I'm going to test it and I'll let you know, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to map the challenge. I'll record it. I'll show you guys the process of how I take what already exists and translate that into a 30-day challenge. And I'll come back and I'll show you what I've found. But if I am serious about building a more leveraged business over these next 100 days, learning and really understanding how to properly utilize what I've already built has to be part of this journey. So I'm going to sign off for today and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.